Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be making a sling for my FLUX Raider X. I've been playing with this thing for a little while. I got it on loan from Flex Defense and I've been having a lot of fun with it. One thing that's a little bit tougher about this guy is because it's so compact, I don't want to toss a bulky QD sling on there. So I decided to make something that's specific made for this guy, that's as low profile as possible. Let's get to it and see what we can come up with. First off the bat, I got myself two QD sling swivels. I've got one of the smaller ones that are at the point and one standard 1.5 inches. What I figure I'm going to do is put the 1.5 inch one right in here. This is going to be the one that we're going to adjust the length of our sling through, and the smaller one is going to go right out here at the end of the brace. I don't like going with a single point because I found that holding it just with a single point sling, it's either going to be too tight or too loose. It's either going to be too loose to hold it up in my armpit to where it's, not dangling down below my waist, so, concealable, but it's too tight to be able to pull around to the front of me and maneuver back and forth. So what I found that works best is to go ahead and use a 2-point. No, the brace won't shoot out as quickly as before, but I'm able to activate the brace and push it forward and lock it. And whenever I activate the brace, it gives myself that extra 8 inches or so of sling length just in the act of activating the brace. So it seems like a pretty decent system to me. So that's what we're going to work off of, and I'll do some testing later on to see how I like it once I finish it. To keep this thing as simple as possible, I'm just going to be using a few components. I've got some 1-inch flat webbing. I'm not going to put a pad on this guy. This guy isn't very heavy, plus I want to keep a low profile, so we're just going to go with the bare piece of webbing. I've got one tri-glide, and I've got one piece of electrical pulling tape. You can also use a piece of 550 cord for this, but I've got this stuff that's nice and flat, so I'll use this. I'll hit it with a Sharpie later to make it, match everything else. But starting off, I'm going to take this piece of flat strap. I'm going to feed it through my small QD loop, and then I'm going to take it and I'm just going to leave about 1 inch overlap, and I'm going to sew it flat onto here. I'm not going to fold anything over. I'm just going to sew around the perimeter, then go back and forth a few times. It's not going to look super pretty, but it's going to be really low profile, flat, and it's going to give me some flexibility and some twistability out here at the end of my brace where I'd like to have that extra movement. That's the idea of this piece versus just looping the webbing straight through. So we'll give that a try. There we go there, got that boxed in pretty well. Burn off all the loose threads. We'll see how this guy holds up over time, but that seems nice and flat. So it should work well for us. Moving on to the other end, we're just going to take our tri-glide and thread it through just like normal. What we do from here is we're going to go ahead and feed it through our other QD. We're going to bring this guy through, and we're going to pin it basically right there. So by doing this, we're going to leave that 8 inches or so sticking out because that's what our adjustment's going to be. We are going to sew across there in a moment. Then we're going to pull this back around, and then we're going to sew right there on the inside. That's going to give us a thumb loop to adjust the length of our sling. But before we do that, we're going to want to hook this guy up and make sure that we have this guy around the right length that we want. What we're wanting is the max length that we want this thing to be adjusted whenever this thing is all the way in like that. But then whenever we want to have it tight against our body, we don't want to have this guy all the way back up around there because he's going to be on our back. We won't be able to reach him. We don't want to have too much adjustment on this because then it'll be harder to access quickly when we need it. So I'm going to toss this guy on, and you have to just fit this for yourself, see where you want it, and you're going to be adjusting this little bit right here in and out of that tri-glide, and you're going to figure out where you want that at. You might have to cut off a little bit of extra. I didn't even measure this webbing whenever I first cut it, just because I knew I wanted it to be long, because I wanted to custom fit it to myself. But let me try that on and we'll see how it goes. Alright, this right here is just about perfect for me. I've got myself a decent sized loop, but not too big that it's going to be in my way. At this point I can unclip this, and then pulling the non-pinned side, I can get myself some more slack to work with here. I can take both my clips off, pinching these parts together right here. You can see that whenever I ran it back through, I just ran it through the front side of this, not the whole thing. So right now I'm going to take a stitch and go back and forth across there a couple times. Alright, now at this point I can cut off some of this excess because I'm not going to need that. And from here I can come around the other side of this tri-glide and pinch that together right there. You can see I came in from the bottom, that way this tail will be on the inside. Pinch that together right there, and that's going to give us a small little loop to grab onto. It's not going to be very big, but we don't want it to be very big. Again, burn off those extra threads. Alright, and there we go. We've got our sling. You see that you can stick that up underneath your armpit, do a quick adjust down. All the way extended, it'll easily tighten back up also. There you go. Let me know if you try it out.